Welcome everybody to season 2 of Nightcap Candy Cafe Conversations. I am, of course, your host, Maria. I'm still here. We're still doing this. After all this time together, you've still come back. I hope you're here because I have here today one of my dear, wonderful friends, whom I adore, and I want more time to spend with you, my friends. Everyone, this is Meghan. Hello, Meghan.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi to everyone.
Hello.
Oh God, I'm fuzzy
God.
now.
The camera said no. Goodbye. Goodbye to me.
Yes. There we go.
Yay! Meghan's back.
I'm here.
So everyone, this is Meghan. Meghan is, I'll have Meghan tell you what Meghan does, but Meghan is a delightful, wonderful, creative individual who has in the past with me played in TTRPGs, who does a lot of TTRPG stuff and like is great and has good hair and like is just wonderful dogs, and it's great. So Meghan, for those who are you? What sort of things do you do on the internet space these days? What might people know you for?
Hello. Greetings, fellow humans. And or any animals, if people are watching with their pets, especially hello to animals. Hello. I am Meghan, known in most corners of the internet as MeghanlynnFTW, which I say because when I say Meghanlynn for the win, that's like it's harder to type all of that in. MeghanlynnFTW, and I am just. What do I do?
What do you do?
What do I do?
What do you even do? What do you even do? What do you do? What do you do, Meghan? What do you do? Meghan, what do you do?
I had to write a short bio about myself for something the other day, and I just sat there like in stunned silence staring at my computer like, who am I?
What do I even done? What do I even do?
But I am a TTRPG designer and writer and sometimes streamer and sometimes podcaster when people let me come on their streams and on their podcasts to play TTRPGs or talk about TTRPGs because I love TTRPGs.
Big shocks Pikachu face.
Yeah, but yeah, I design games and I play games and I talk about games and yeah.
Yay. Some of what I've put threw them up on the camera, and this isn't the first time that you've seen these on this show. I showed them off when I was talking to Spencer because they're so great. But these are like the physical things. Some of the physical. I don't know if you can't get these anymore, right?
I have them. I like package them together with my business card. So like when people buy games from me, I put them in the package and
so
mail them.
You can't purchase these, but you get them. You can get them if you purchase things like these.
Yes, and I'm probably gonna print more before like packs, so if people see me, I can.
Heck, let's go. Let's go. But Meghan is one of the most creative people I have the pleasure of knowing. These are the 3 of the multitude of games and stuff that you can play that Meghan has made. You can find all of her things on her itch.io and all of that stuff, which there will be links everywhere all at once. But I've played in the like I don't think I saved the video, but I did a solo TTRPG stream of you wrote a game that was about Orpheus.
Yes.
Going down to get Eurydice from Hades.
Yes, the long way down.
I think that
was like one of the first, if not the first, like streams of yours that I watched. Because and I'm just like, oh, somebody's playing my game, like where other people can watch. And I remember watching it, be like, I need to know this person.
What a way to meet me is through that game, because the long way down. So there's like I'm looking through your itch.io right now, and there's you can get acrostic, amazing.
Yes, they're not like the physical versions, but yes, there are like PDF versions of acrostic and Last Job.
I see that now.
They're on there.
But oh, you made orbital. Dang. I didn't know that. All right, so looking through, this is an extensive list. There's an extensive list of wonderful, fantastic games. You should purchase all of them. I'm saying it's a requirement. But there's things like the first one on here, which is you should be listening to Jolene right now, which is
that's my not
great.
That's my not game. I wrote for Not a Game Jam.
Incredible.
If you've ever wondered whether or not you need to be listening to Jolene, the greatest song ever written.
But there's it's a variety of stuff. It's not just one thing. There's even like you've made like custom moves for like things like Masks, which is a PBTA game that 100,000 people already on the show have been like, this is one of my favorite games.
I love Masks. It is my favorite game. I love it with all that I have. Yeah, I've got like games, and then I've got some like games to prepare to play games.
There's one about bees where you play as bees in a town and you tell the town story through the eyes of the bees. I'm deceased.
Yeah, you play, so yeah.
You can play as the sun and the moon.
Yeah, that one's about the sun and the moon being in love because I am convinced that the sun and the moon are in love. So I wrote that one for me. The bees one I love because there's like an old tradition where like people would like tell like anything that's happening in the town, like people would have to tell the bees because if the bees weren't informed about what was going on, like they would stop making honey.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you play out like the year in the life of this town by like telling stories about what's going on to the bees. So the bees know what's going on.
Well, I love bees. We love bees.
But
there's like one that has, it's called like the Family Order, which is a tarot based game, and like there's the amount of potential is vast and endless in one Meghan Lynn for the win. Like it's so, there's so many things here. And then like Sentinel, which this is a physical copy, but you can get like the not physical copy.
Mm-hmm.
You play as like a guardian, like a guardian of a place that is like old and ruined and abandoned, and how do you do that, and what do you do? And
yeah,
but also if you like session zeros, which we've talked about extensively on this show, I want to start with session zero because it is one of those things that I've never, specifically session zero in this context, everyone, is Meghan's, like, it's a game.
Yes, yeah, there are three of them in the collection, I guess I'll call it. Collection. Yeah, Session Zero was my first game that I published 3 years ago. I realized, I like looked up the other day to be like, how long ago did I start writing games? Three years, which seems, time is fake.
What is time? Yeah.
Time is fake. So Session Zero is a game to help you come up with character backstories. If you're not great at coming up with character backstories, or you just like need a little bit of help, because I love character backstories, but I know people who are like, I never know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you play with a deck of cards, and each card is a prompt, and you deal out a hand, and you answer the prompts, and you put together like your character. And there's like each suit is a different theme. So it's like happy prompts and sad prompts, and now let me think. It's my own game. It's like
romantic stuff,
like bonds, like relationships, and then just like a little more like generic, not generic, but a more general type of prompts. I can pick them up. But there are 6 suits because I did an expansion for it after I wrote the original one. So there's 6 full suits of prompts for like making your characters, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
I love anything that can facilitate and aid in coming up with motivations for characters, because I come from a theater background. So for me, it's not it's kind of like, it's not even second nature. It's like the forefront of my mind. If I'm thinking about a character, I'm not just thinking about like, what do they look like? All that sort of stuff. I'm thinking about why are they doing the thing they're doing? Not like how they're doing it, but like, why are they doing it? And why are they choosing to do it this way? And that sort of stuff is always there in my head so often that I forget that that's not how everybody makes characters and thinks about characters. So, and even for someone like myself, and maybe yourself as well, who has kind of that like background, having something like this, there's another book that I got that I talk about all the time. Come here.
I believe in you.
There's another book I talk about all the time that I might have shown off. I don't remember if I did. It's this one, the RPG Character Backstory Guide, which is it's just got a ton of different kinds of prompts based on like character level, based on like all sorts of different things that you can pick from. You can choose to win. You can choose to answer some. There's some that have like random tables that you can roll on. All that stuff to help you think about things that might be important for your character. So like for my Pathfinder game that I'm in right now, I took the first part of this and went through and just kind of like pick and chose the different questions that I like knew that I could put an answer to about this character. And through that, and I would assume through session 0, because I haven't played it yet and I would love to do that sometime. Maybe with you, Megan, that would be really cool.
Make some characters.
We're making some characters. But through going through things like this that are prompt based, it not only gives you the opportunity to come up with like maybe NPCs, maybe like people who are important to your character's background, or people who were important and now are important for different reasons, or thinking about the ways that your character starts to think. So like their fears, or like their hopes and their dreams, and like things they're striving for and things that they never want to do, and like that sort of stuff is stuff that you can kind of get from things like this.
That was definitely my intention, is like, like I'm like you, like before I figure out literally anything else about like a TTRPG character, like I want to know how they tick. I want to know why they are doing the things that they are doing. Before, like, generally speaking, like I'll make my character and then I'll like take the mechanics and try to like, and then fiddle them according. Like I don't do like my stats first. I do who they are first, and then I build from there.
Yeah,
so,
build
like,
the stats to reflect the character, not necessarily the other way around.
And this was something to like help kind of like stuff that you might not think about. Yeah, like what are they afraid of? Like what's their biggest dream? Like what's something that they regret? What's something that like who helped them when they like first started off being an adventurer? And I wrote it in a way that it works for any system. Like it's not like this is to make D&D characters, or this is to make Masks characters. Like it is written so it can be any character for any game that you are playing. You can use session 0 to make it.
Which means that you could also do it for like, if you're in theater, if you're doing a theatrical or performance-based thing where you have a character that you are playing, I could see it just being just as useful. I mean, obviously, like within the bounds of like the pre-written character, but like, if you have someone that's like, maybe they're not like, there's a certain aspect of them that's not fleshed out in either the script or the like, direction or anything like that, maybe just like
subtext.
pull a card or two, just get
subtext. Little subtext.
God, subtext is so tasty. It's so, so good.
Yeah, and that's not so that's the first session 0. So that's characters. So then I was like, let's just keep this train rolling, because your girl loves writing prompt-based games. So there's session 0, which is to make character backstories, and then there are 2 other ones. There's session 0 world building edition, which will help you make worlds, like make original worlds, both like physical features and then like just like your day-to-day, like your world lore, like what do people believe, how do they handle XYZ, like that kind of thing. So it's a game fully created to like help people create original worlds for games. And then the last one is Bond Building Edition, because that's my favorite thing in the world when I play TTRPGs is bond creation between characters.
We wouldn't know anything about that.
No, not at all.
No,
Definitely not.
We'll get into it, everyone. Trust me, we can talk about that for a while.
So it's 4 different like category, like different types of bonds. So it's like romantic bonds, like obligation bonds, historic, like past historic bonds, that kind of thing. So you choose what kind of bond you want to have with the other characters in your group, and you draw a card, and then you and the other person answer the questions to determine like what the bond between your characters are, which helps going into a game. Like, I feel like that's something that like it really helps when you're starting a game before like the characters have interacted, but the players have not. And it helps. And it helps, I feel like it helps it feel like more organic when you go into something, because like these characters didn't just get dropped off together. Like the characters have already been together. Like they have a history, even though the game is just starting. This is just what you've seen.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of like, I think that segues.
Nailed it.
Beautifully, unlike my segue here, into one of the things I want to talk about, which is a game that we played together. So we played, golly, when was that?
Too long ago.
Megan and I played a game together as part of WebDM Plays, the beautiful, wonderful WebDM.
Oh. What a good game that was.
Oh my gosh. We played a 3-episode run of Fading Suns. That is a beautiful, fantastic, wonderful game that is written by or published by Ulysses Spila. And it's a space opera, and it's so good. Like the mechanics are also so wonderful. And like I want to do more. Specifically, I wanted to do more with that exact same cast. I want to do more with you, because it was myself and you, and it was Daisy and Grant and Noir Enigma, and like y'all, I just cannot tell you the amount of energy within that cast. And then Real Jim Davis was the one who was GMing it and did a fantastic job. What a game that was. But like the thing that I didn't expect, I think we talked about it a little bit during like session 0/character creation. I played the premise of the thing was Meghan's character, who was a princess.
I am a simple human, and if I can play a princess in a TTRPG, I am going to play princess. Please cast me in your TTRPGs as a space princess. Thank you.
Wanted to go out and see the stars. Basically, I think like you said at one point, you basically based this character off of Milo Thatch from Atlantis. And
she was a very naive cartographer who didn't want to be a princess. She just wanted to make maps of the stars.
And the rest of us were playing individuals of her entourage, either sent kind of alongside by like her parents, essentially, like the people who are like, hey, make sure that she doesn't die. So I was playing her bodyguard, and it was a fascinating journey, because like I had throughout the 3 episodes, which are all available on YouTube, by the way. You can watch this happen. You can watch this whole thing unfold. But over those 3 episodes, I learned about my character, Vencia, who was actually like, I don't know if I told y'all this in the game, but she was actually a reskin of a D&D character that I had made.
I got that.
Yeah. They were a D&D character that I made for a game that only had a couple of sessions, or actually I was only a couple sessions in.
Mhm.
But that I started realizing, I think either in session 0 or somewhere around the beginning of it, that like Vencia started off with like this desire to eventually like not in like I'm gonna like kill you to take your spot, but like is striving so much to be more than they are, because of how low they started. And doing so by being like very close to this very important person, and then realizing that by being close to this very important person, you start to actually get close to this very important person. And we got to sprinkle a little bit of stuff in that game. And then after the game.
And then Starcrossed happened.
And then after the game, which is not available anywhere. We did it for ourselves and ourselves only.
Part of me, like, I think back, I'm like, oh, I wish that we had recorded it. Just like, because there are moments that, because there are moments I think back on, I'm like, that was so good.
Yeah. But yeah, like in the recordings you can watch that our characters are like, I hope that it came across that like Vencia did care about your character so incredibly much, but didn't want to like drop this facade of like, I'm a badass who will break your face.
And you are.
But also, I want to kiss you really bad. Is like what they were fighting with in their cells.
Whereas like Mila was very like so like aware but unaware of like what is expected of her. Where she's like, yeah, like I guess eventually like I might have to like be queen or whatever, but like, you're the only person who like really sees me and really matters to me, so
that like adorable like naivete of like, what? Yep. Yeah, of course you're always gonna be here. Of course you are.
Of course you are.
But like we, I think I mentioned this a couple of, I don't remember if it was a couple of episodes ago. I briefly mentioned Starcrossed.
Starcrossed by Alex Roberts. Everybody should play it. It's so good.
You gotta play it.
One of my favorite games.
It is a you know who I brought it up with? It was last season with Fawn and Games. I brought up Starcrossed because we talked about their like amazing game where they played as two trees on two sides between a fence. Like,
you can do anything with Starcrossed.
Anything. It's essentially a game, and again, you can go watch that episode of Nightcap season 1. We talk about it in ad nauseum, but essentially the idea is you play two beings
who cannot be together.
Exactly, two entities that for some reason cannot be together, and it doesn't have to be romantic. It's just two entities that are not able to be together. In this case, we decided we're gonna be Vencia and Mila, and they can't be together because of political reasons, but like romantically.
Yeah.
And
like, but what if
like,
they kiss?
But what if they kissed? And we
they did. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. That's how the game ended.
Spoilers.
But like it was such a wonderful exploration of like taking characters who had already had one pre-game history, like before Fading Suns, and then had the Fading Suns history, and then taking it into another layer of like this very intimate setting. Which like had so many, we dug into so many tropes, and it was just like the argument in the rain.
Slap Starcrossed, this bad boy can fit so many tropes.
It was so good. It was so very anime in its vibes.
Argument in the rain. We had a training montage.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We ended with a
hurt comfort
her comfort moment that ended in a kiss and like in
a window seat on a spaceship.
On a spaceship, like it's so.
And that's something I love. And it's not just Starcross, but just like games, stringing games together, like using games in conjunction with other games, like in Starcross works perfectly because I've done it a few times to carry on games to play Starcross after to see how it ends. But then one of my favorite games of Starcross that I ever played, my friend Jason and I were going to be playing in a game where we were playing a divorced couple. So we played Starcrossed before that game to play out their entire love story from like when they met and fell in love till when they divorced. So when we're playing the game proper, it's not just like history. It's not just like, oh well, they're divorced. It's like we know exactly what happened to them, which adds so much more like juicy subtext to it during the game and makes everything like so much more emotionally charged because it's like, no, we just played out this love story. Like we saw it crumble and now we're together again. And they ended up back together again because of course they did.
Of course they did.
But like games as a tool to enhance other games is just so cool.
Yeah. And that's
cool.
That's something else too, is like the concept of taking games and interjecting them in like say if you were playing a long-term D&D game, you don't have to just play D&D while you're having your long-term campaign. You can take those characters and put them in something else. Like it's exactly like what we were talking I talked about it with Spencer in his game Icarus, which is a fantastic world building game. Again, if you don't know what it is, friends, go and watch the last episode. You can talk about it.
You mean this game?
That one. It's so good. It's so good. But like the idea that he brought up of like his adventuring party came upon some ruins and they played Icarus to learn about the civilization that had been here, right?
Yeah, or like I've done Quiet Year to set up.
I love the Quiet Year so much. It's so good. It's so good, and it can be so silly and it can be so not silly. But like the Quiet Year is so great to set up like a place in the world. It doesn't have to be the entire world, just like a little place. And then you can like build off of that. But games like this that are there, you only need one session. You only need one amount of time to play them. And they're so self-encapsulated. And of course, like, you know, for something like Sentinel, you could play it like a little bit longer term. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. You can do it over 5 minutes. Yeah. You can do it like, you know, in the morning with your coffee or your tea or your breakfast or something like that. It's a beautiful breather from like long games, which I know not everybody does, but like yeah, I love a freaking 5-hour session. Like, let's be real.
Like, I like the long sessions too, but like as somebody who ends up playing a lot of, with the exception of like my ongoing Masks campaigns, like I play a lot of shorter games, which I love, and things like that are so good. Just like break it up. Like I played and we're on hopefully not indefinite hiatus for now, but like for a couple of years, I had a group of friends. We played like an anthology play Monster of the Week campaign, but we play Monster of the Week, and then we played Anomaly. I think we played The Quiet Year. We played Something Is Eating This Town. We played like a couple different games that are all about like investigating monstery stuff. So that was like, we would do Monster of the Week would be kind of like our more like interpersonal type sessions. And then we had these other games that are about like investigating monsters and stuff that we played in between the Monster of the Week sessions as like the actual meat of the monster
Oh,
hunting,
interesting.
which was really fun. And then we got to try out like a ton of cool games,
Yeah.
which I love because I love yeah.
That's absolutely something that I want to, and I think this is also something that we talked about with Fawn, is because they had a similar experience where they took the same characters through multiple systems. So like starting with like Kids on Bikes and going into like Monster of the Week and like Alice is Missing and like all this sort of stuff as the exact same characters throughout like
so Fawn was in
that game. That's why it sounded so familiar. Listen, I was like, that sounds really
we started it started with I wanted to run a Monster of the Week one shot that was inspired by a pup named Scooby-Doo. Because if anybody knows me, I love Scooby-Doo I love Scooby-Doo. So we played all of these characters as like 8 and 9-year-olds, and then we played them. We did like a session like in middle school. We did them like in high school. We played Sleepaway. Was another one. So like we did like Monster of the Week. We did a couple Monster of the Weeks. Then we did like a Monster of the Week with them at prom, and then like we played Sleepaway where they all went to summer camp. And we aged them up through being like young adults, like college age, from being kids. And then like in between that, like I know like Fawn and another friend, they played a Starcross game with their characters. Me and another friend played a Starcross game with our characters, like intermingled like throughout that time.
I want to do that so bad.
Let's do it
so bad. I want to do like an anthology thing like that.
You say this is the kind of game I want to play. I can have a list of applicable games, whatever theme, tone. I'm
excellent.
I'm not kidding. My TTRPG Dropbox folder is vast.
Well, because that's my biggest thing is like I want to run more spooky games because I love being able to use the verbose vocabulary that I have, even if I can't even if I stumble over words. I love using words to describe things and like doing so in a way that is not like atmospheres. How you describe the room that you're in. I love being able to do that because it's not just like, oh, you're in a room.
It's spooky.
And it's spooky. Yeah. And the lights are off. Spooky? Yeah. You see a dark space in front of you, and inside you can hear a sound that almost sounds like if someone took a sock and stuck it into, like something like that. You continue on and on and on. You do like very specific sounds or very specific kinds of like feelings, or like, like you have the feeling in your stomach like you would when you're standing on the edge of a cliff without any railings around you. A lot of people know what that feeling feels like, and it's very specific.
Like you've got the knot in your stomach, like just as the roller coaster crests over.
Yeah. Or like that sinking feeling when you're watching something very breakable fall and you can do nothing about it. That sort of stuff. I like that. So like things like that, like games where I can be very wordy and it's like kind of ominous and spooky. That's when I want to get into that.
And the
more.
thing about anthology play, which is very cool too, is that if you're doing it at least the way that we did it, and I'm like looking through my bookies, you can do it in a way that like it doesn't put the GMing responsibility just on one person.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the games, like all the games like we intersperse between Monster of the Week were GM-less. And then we took turns GMing Monster of the Week. So like each of us GM'd a session of like a one-off session of Monster of the Week in between these. And I feel like that really helps too, as far as like keeping like a momentum up with a group, because no one person is getting burnt out on GMing.
Yeah.
Like everybody kind of shares the responsibility, and then it feels more, it's a fully collaborative experience. Like everybody is telling this story together.
Yeah. That's absolute. Something
I'm a sucker for that.
That's something that I would love. I would love love to do that. Like,
I've got a bunch of different spooky-ish games. I really want to play this one. I'm sure you're wondering why I gathered you here this evening, which is basically Clue, but a TTRPG.
oh my god.
Where you create a mansion and figure out who died. And like,
oh my god.
I thought I had a physical copy of Paranormal Inc., which is what I was looking for.
Ooh.
Which is basically like a Ghost Hunters type
Incredible.
GMO's TTRPG, which is also really
incredible.
good.
Incredible.
But yeah, we can.
We gotta make it happen.
We can
gotta
continue this conversation because I have lots
100%.
of spooky games. For someone who's a giant baby, I love horror TTRPGs. Can't sit through a horror movie and then sleep, but I love spooky games.
Well, and that's something that that I just talked about in the one of the last episodes was about like specifically horror TTRPGs is it's different than in like movies or other media because in, at least if you're now as a side tangent, I'm not going to say that you can play TTRPGs wrong, except if you don't use safety tools, then you're playing it wrong.
Correct. That is the only wrong way to play a TTRPG.
Correct. So with that in mind, horror TTRPGs, when done correctly, give you so much more avenue to be scared the way you want to be scared.
Yes.
Which is far better and less like, less to keep you up at night, in my opinion. Because like it's the things that you don't want to be scared by that keep you up at night.
Right. And in that vein, like you have a little more like I have more agency playing in a horror TTRPG than I have watching a horror movie, which that's the way it's made. Like nothing will change about this movie. This movie is the movie the way it's made. Whereas like in a TTRPG, like I have a little more agency that I can be like, ooh, this is something that's like I'm not super vibing with, so I can opt myself out of those situations where you don't have that option when you're like consuming horror media.
Theater, but like,
But that's about the extent of it. It's not like I can go into something and be like, hello, GM, here are my lines and veils. I am really afraid of dolls. Please omit dolls from this game. It's like,
yes,
done.
But please keep in like ghosts.
But keep in these other things that I like.
Exactly. like here's the things that I don't want to deal with. However, here's 15 things that please do.
These are the things that will wreck me, and I consent to being wrecked with these things.
Yes. Absolutely.
Please do not. Please show
put
me
these away.
Please show me no dolls, no mannequins. Those can go over here. And I will be over here with all of the things that I would like to be scared by. Thank you.
Yep. And that's really again, that's going to be something that I reiterate 1,000 times forever, never. Like safety tools do not limit storytelling.
No.
They don't in any way, shape or form, because it's not saying no, don't touch. It's saying touch this. All of this, please. Right? And that
I take one thing off the table and then I give you a table with like 1,000 other things on it.
Exactly. And then you mix it up with like what everybody else is also bringing to the table. It's exactly like a potluck. And you know what? That table over there, everybody's allergic to that food.
Yes.
Don't mix
those
it
are
in.
the allergens. Don't touch those. Touch these.
Yes. And it only makes for to continue with the food the thing. It only makes for a more full meal because you're not including things that people are not going to like, that people are not going to enjoy. And it's great and it's good and you tell great stories. And I'm going to just talk about it for the rest of forever.
Like
forever and ever.
And I don't want to enjoy something at the expense of somebody else's comfort.
Yes.
Like, so say like for me, like I have no problem with bugs. Like I think bugs are cool. Nature is cool. Bugs are cool. But if I'm playing in a game with someone who is very afraid of spiders, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I really wanted there to be spider content. Like, I don't want to have fun. Like, I don't want to have fun at the expense of somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, I want, like, the reason I play TTRPGs is to play it, to tell a story together with people. And I want everybody to make a big, beautiful meal so that we can all eat it together.
A giant hero sandwich.
And then talk about it years down the road, be like, I got to tell you about the sandwich I had.
Yep.
That's our Starcross game. It's like, can I just tell you
Yes.
about this sandwich I had last year?
Well, because that's the game, like the StarCross game that you and I played is one of those rare occurrences of like, I played a game with someone that ruined my life in the best way possible, and literally the only two people who know what happened are me and you, and we can only just try to describe the things that we remember happening. Oh, and we can share a playlist that we made. Like,
Yes.
Let me be real. It's a public playlist. I can share it with y'all. You can listen to it. It's
It's a very good
playlist. And sappy and sapphic, and it's really, really
yes. Good. It's very romantic and queer. So.
Yeah. But it's so delightful to have those experiences that once you have them, they just are.
They just exist.
They just exist in a strange liminal space that is your brain and my brain.
And that's where the magic is. Cause like, I always think about like whenever people ask me like, oh, like what are like your favorite moments from TTRPGs? And I have played just hundreds of sessions of TTRPGs, but like one of the ones that always sticks in my head in our Starcross game is definitely one of them that like I immediately conjure to my mind, because I think about Vencia telling Mila that if anything happened to her, all the light would go out of the universe, and I still die because that is just so smooth. But I played a game.
I'm good with words.
I played a game of Dialect, and I think actually this is on YouTube because I played it on Fawn of Fawn and Games, who is wonderful. You should go follow them because they are a delight. I played a game of Dialect on their channel that was so just in Dialect. Everybody needs to play Dialect. It is one of the most beautifully designed, evocative games I have ever played in my life. I want to play Dialect with everybody I know. If you're out there and you want to play Dialect, like come find me and I will facilitate Dialect. Yeah, let's play Dialect.
Cool, great.
I always say that completely serious. Like I will find the time to facilitate Dialect for people.
Excellent.
Because it's an absolutely gorgeous game. And we played this game of Dialect that the last like 30 to 40 minutes, all of us were just sobbing. Like
no.
Literally, like there is a YouTube video of this stream and we are all crying to the point where like one of our friends like came in at that point and was like, the chat was like, are you all okay? And we're like, nope, we're good. Like everything is fine. Like this is just where, because Dialect has the ability to go to a very sad place. But to this day, like I think of some of like the phrases and words that we created during that game, and like I have a very visceral reaction to it, to the point where I can't play that setting in Dialect anymore. It was the Mars colony and I cannot play that backdrop anymore because that one game is so it's just a part of me and it always will be, and it's so intense and emotional and beautiful. And when games do that, it's just the coolest thing. It's just so cool to have.
It's something that I hope everyone who plays TTRPGs in any capacity has at least one of those moments at some point, because I know that it's like the more games you play, the higher the chances are that you will eventually have one of those moments. But like it's something that I know that some people just don't get that, like that one opportunity of like, this is going to stay in my brain for the rest of my entire life. Yeah. And like I played, like I mentioned, I don't remember which, I mentioned at one point a Monster of the Week game that I have been a part of that is like on YouTube. It was part of Dice Priori, and we played for almost 2 years, a campaign, start to finish. And it was like close to 60 episodes, if not just over 60 episodes. And my character went through so many different everywheres throughout the entire thing. And there's one conversation that I hold so incredibly dear to my heart, It was a conversation that my character had with his romantic partner at the time. And this was during like a flashback arc, because my character was in his like late 70s, early 80s, and so was flashing back to a time where he was also a monster hunter in the same town 30, 40 years prior, but couldn't remember it. So we were playing through his memories essentially. That's so cool. And a conversation was had between him and his partner Gretchen after he had just royally fucked up in a fight situation, and he was trying to help people, and in fact almost set everyone on fire. And it was a big oopsie.
These things happen? Question.
This is fine. And so he was having a very heavy and like downtrodden conversation of, you know, what do I do when everyone else is on the front line and I can't do anything? What do I do when you all don't come back? And her response, GM so wonderfully by my good friend Ty, was, then you keep fighting, which is what I have tattooed on my arm. Because this is the sword that his partner wielded, because she had a sword, and then it's in there and it's right there, because to me it transcended the game at that point. Because I realized that it wasn't my character Hector who was asking these things in that moment. It was Hector, but it was also a little bit of me. Like, what do I do when there's no one else around, and for whatever reason I'm just here? What do I do when there's nothing around to tell me what to do like to anything? You just keep going. You just got to keep going. You got to keep fighting for something, right? And so there's like,
and it's so funny. So I just pulled this little piece of paper, which I have a little corkboard here. So in that dialect game, they're like, so dialect, if anybody's unfamiliar with dialect, it's a game about language and how it dies. You create an isolation and you create the language that is spoken just by the people in that isolation. And then you play out how the isolation ends, for better or worse. And our phrase in our Mars colony that was like, basically like a promise or like a goodbye type thing was, until we see the stars. Where it's like this is until we see the stars, I'm with you, like we're here until we see the stars. Like it's like a forever type of thing. So my friend who watched it, my friend Liz, who I love, does beautiful calligraphy, and she sent me this after that game, and I've been planning forever to get it tattooed on me, because like it's just like, it's like that powerful of a phrase that it's just like, it transcends the game itself. Like, yes, in the game it is meaningful, and then it's also like, be like, no, like I'm like, until we see the stars, like I am here, like we're going, we're doing this.
Well, like, and that as soon as you said it, I got absolute chills, and my stomach was just like, huh, because like it's so like, one, the words are beautiful just put together,
right?
And then I immediately thought about Vencia and Mila, and they literally ended with a kiss and a promise to go and run away together into the stars, into the stars. Like, I
really like space.
Space is so cool.
I love
space. I'm weepy about these, about games. TTRPGs give me feelings, and it's just so good.
I love it, and that's why I play games. Like if I can walk away from a game, like, God, the amount of times I have cried playing TTRPGs is uncountable. Like I am a soft bitch, and it does not take much to make me very emotional and like in and out of character. Like they're like I remember like playing like sessions on stream or whatever, and somebody in the little chat like checking in, like using like oh, it's like, are you crying or is your character crying? I'm like, well, it started as one and now it's the other. Like, and now it's both of us.
No, it's all of them. I had that exact same moment too. There's a stream game called Project VHS that I was a part of, God, 3 years ago now, and it was the first time I cried on stream, and it was one of those moments where I started in character, and my character was very emotional, and like I was like, damn, this is good acting that's happening right now, and I was like super proud of it. This is good content. Like I was like, this is really resonating, you know, I'm able to like really, you know, hit these things, and all this is resonating. And then there was one thing that was said by the person who was running it, and then it was me. It went from like performative to being like, oh, now I'm sobbing.
Yep, it's like there's the line, here's me, here's my character, and then the light gets a little blurry, and it gets a little blurry, and it gets a little blurry, and then it's just gone.
And then it's gone, and then I'm just weepy and full of tears. And well, I'm not. They're out of me now. They're on my lap.
That's that good stuff. And I know, like,
oh, good.
That's not what everybody wants out of their games. There is no wrong way to play a TTRPG unless you play without safety tools. But man,
as an emotional person, it is exceptionally satisfying and gratifying to have an emotional response that transcends just your character.
Yes.
It requires a lot of decompression afterwards.
Yes, a lot of aftercare, also like a lot of trust in the people you are playing with. Like, my friend who GMs our Masks campaign, like I trust him so implicitly. Like, we've been playing together for so long and have like such an open communication that basically I'm like, you have carte blanche to do whatever you want to me in game, because I trust you, and you just know, and even when it's with people that you haven't played like years and years and years with, like having trust at a table to be able to let yourself have that emotional release, like both personally and like as your character, like that's beauty in and of itself, is to just be comfortable enough at a table with a group to like have those moments, to like let yourself have them. They're so good.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last week, but I'll mention it briefly here. I just played a session of an off-stream Vampire the Masquerade game in which content warning for character death. Oh my god, I tweeted about it because I was heartbroken. My character Isaac, his partner, who was also his sire, it's complicated, and I can't go into detail, but like,
it's complicated TM.
It's complicated in like the best way. Due to reasons that Isaac feels like he could have prevented, his partner passed away in a weird way, like in a someone else is now inhabiting your body, and now you're a ghost and you get to follow me around for the rest of my life, which is like that really, really harsh, bittersweet, like, oh my god, I was not expecting this, and it was like it happened far sooner than like me or my character was expecting, and all that sort of stuff. But it was so, and I cried like actual American tears right here, and I felt so, I knew, even though this thing sucked, it sucked so hard for my character. I was very sad. I was just like, dang, this does not feel good. But like in because I was having emotion kind of way, not in a, this is actually bad for me and we need to stop. Because like I trusted,
this is horrible, keep going.
Exactly. And it's because like I trusted the players that I was with to be okay with me all over the
Mhm.
place. And the person who was running our game, you know, when we started the game, I trusted him with all of this.
Mhm.
And I said, hurt me with this, please.
I usually
There is a
use
bat that is called my emotions and my relationship.
That's-
Please hurt me with this.
I usually say that at the beginning of every campaign I play, I gift my GMs with a lovely knife block.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a nice little like housewarming present, like here, like thank you for this game. Here is a block of knives. They are all labeled with individual ways to harm me.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun. Like,
and it's so delicious to be able to like trust. It's again coming back to that trust and communication, and knowing that if you are in situations that do get emotional and heavy and things like that, much like we were talking about horror TTRPGs, if it gets to a point where you do not want to handle it anymore, or you can't, or it's going farther than you want it to, you should be comfortable to say, I gotta stop.
like,
hang on. Gotta breathe.
yeah.
Because that's important. You're important. Your emotional state is important, even if you are in a state of like emotional damage.
And then you do aftercare afterwards, like having that time after a session to just like big exhale.
Yep.
Check
and just
in,
talk. Exactly.
And just talk about the game or about like whatever, just to get it out, like kind of loosen up. And
after that, I sat in a voice call with my siblings, and we played like a video game together. Like I was just like, nice. We're gonna just sit here, and I'm gonna listen to sad music for a little bit, and then we're gonna play video games.
I just need to be sad. I just need to be sad for a little bit.
Yep.
Yep.
That's one of the things that I do though when I'm in like an emotional situation, specifically with TTRPGs, even if it's like, you know, a happy one or like one that's just like a high amount of emotional stakes, is music speaks to me on a different level, like a completely different level, which is why, you know, you and I made a playlist off of two characters who were in a small campaign and then on a, you know, one shot thing.
I'm listening to it right now.
Hey. But like that's something I often do, whether it's after I run a game of D&D, or if I, you know, have just played a game or something like that, and if I have like a character playlist. Geez, when I finished that Monster of the Week campaign, let me tell you, I played all of those playlists on repeat for weeks.
My favorite thing, because I also make playlists for like all of my characters. My favorite thing is listening, like continually listening to this playlist, and then you get to a point where like songs begin to hit differently than they did when you first put them on the playlist. You're like, oh, this is still applicable to my character, but in a completely different way now. And then you're like, it's character development, and I can hear it in the music.
My approach to character playlists is I typically do them in chapters. So for one of my characters, the one that I cried so very hard on stream for, I ended up including a collaborative playlist that I played with that I made with one of the other players who they fell in love in space. A weird coinkydink.
Space is really romantic.
Space is, oh god, the setting we were in was horror, but like, but I think I ended up with 6 playlists for her because, and for Hector, my Monster of the Week character, I think I ended up technically with 5, but one of them is just one song, and that was the finale. That was the last playlist I made. But it's because I like to take them in significant character arcs. So like the first playlist I make is from the beginning to whenever a significant thing happens. So like with the Monster of the Week game that I was in, we had the first arc where I put songs as that I found them that were, you know, in this vibe, and then we went to our flashback arc, and then I was like, okay, what are some songs that would, like, as I was hearing songs, I was like, oh, this fits for his mentality when he was 30, 40 years ago. Let's add these on here. And then coming from that flashback back into the present, but very different from this first time because he's now experienced 30 years of life in like a second. Going through that arc, right? Going through that arc and then going through the final arc. And then just one song at the very end. So like I typically do it that way so that when I listen through it, I know exactly where I was, where he was. Like I know where like the mindset generally was, and you can see through the different playlists, a kind of growth and expansion over. I do it over multiple instead of just doing it over on like one.
I put mine in order. Like it's in like, it's like, oh, these are like backstory songs.
I do that also. I am a bit extra when it comes. If y'all need character playlists, I can't help you because I can only make them for myself. But if you want to listen to mine,
I also love collab playlists. Like I have, if you followed me on Twitter for more than like 5 minutes, you'll know I'm obsessed with my Masks character and her girlfriend, played by my best friend. Our collab playlist for them is fire. And does make me cry on a fairly regular basis.
yeah.
And it's just so good because like it's the same, because like we added songs to it, like so like the beginning of the playlist is all like, I have feelings for you and I don't know how to tell you, like I need to not like you because this is a bad idea type songs, and it goes right into like, nope, I'm in love and this is what's happening.
We are here now, get over yourself.
So if I listen to it in order, it is a ride because it's a lot of like very tentative, like I don't know if I like you, and if I do like you then I don't know if I should, and then it's just like, and boom, we're in love.
And now we're in love. Dang it. I'm looking through my character playlist now and I'm like, dang, there's so many of them and they're all, I can look at all of them and be like, I know exactly who you are. I literally have 2 playlists that are just like a to be determined character, 1 and 2, because I have like these songs that work so well together and I don't have a character for them yet.
That's one of my friends has that, like it's for like a future, it's just like titled like future Masks character, because he's like, this is the aesthetic that I want for this character. They don't have a name, they don't have a game, but I know exactly who they are based on this musical aesthetic. I'm like, love that. What my playlists tell me is that all of my characters have anxiety.
No,
because I have anxiety.
Way.
So
no
all of
way.
my character playlists have it's the common theme in my character playlist is anxiety and then songs by Hosier. those are the threads that run through all of my character playlists.
I was gonna ask if there's like, if you have like a theme artist for like different characters, or if it's just kind of a theme artist for you.
It's basically for me it's a lot of Mumford and Sons and it's a lot of Hosier. Are probably the biggest ones, but then like every so often there are ones I'm like, oh wow, this one artist has a lot of songs that fit, but like it all depends, like, so it all depends on like the tone. So generally like my playlists are all usually like very like low-key, like folky acousticy stuff, and then my Masks character just like right off the rip starts with like a New Found Glory song and an Offspring song, so I'm like, oh, so this is the tone of this playlist. But yeah, a lot of, now I'm like trying to look, Churches ends up on pretty much all of them. There's Hosier. Noah Kahan, who's like my favorite artist right now, he's on pretty much all of my playlists because his music is beautiful.
I'm looking through mine. One that shows up on a lot of my character playlists is Sam Tiniz's.
I'm saying, what song I know that there's a song. Hold Me Up is on my Masks character and her girlfriend's collab playlist, and that song is so good.
Amazing. But like he shows up on a lot of them. But I typically, so I found that like I don't know if it was intentional at first or not, but I found that there's usually an artist that vibes with a character. So like for this Monster of the Week character, Lord Huron, was basically the theme song. Like anything from what album was it? It was basically anything from
I love
the
No.
album. What is it? The
I say Lonesome Dreams. Songs from Lonesome Dreams end up on a lot of my playlists, and songs.
The entire Strange Trails album by Lord Huron is basically the theme song of Hector Bartholomew from Monster of the Week.
Which in that album is so good, and it's like a concept album, but in like the broadest sense of being a concept album.
Yeah. It's just like it's basically Monster of the Week. It's like eldritch spooky things in the woods.
I say Meet Me in the Woods was like the theme song of one of my Warlocks, like one of my first on-stream PCs. Because that is a Warlock song, and nobody can convince me it's not a song about going out into the woods and coming out a Warlock. Because that is 100% what that song is about.
Here's the thing, though, I can test it because it's not in my memory banks. Because that specific song is the first song on the playlist that is after his flashback playlist.
Ooh, okay.
So it's about him remembering all of the shit that happened in these woods way long ago and how it changed him and everyone else around him.
I will concede that to you. This one point, you are the only one who is allowed to say that it is not a everyone else
who doesn't get to be a warlock.
Everyone else who doesn't say a song that involves the line "I fucked with forces that your eyes can't see" isn't about going into the woods and making a pact with something there.
Yep. Yep. It's so sad. And then there's another song called "The Night We Met" from that album, which is about him remembering his partner who he forgot existed 40 years, like in 40 years in the future.
Quest
and
characters.
Like there's literally a line in that song in the chorus that says, oh no,
I had all and then most of you summon now none of you.
Because his partner 40 years in present day, he got... All right, you ready for some sadness? Ready for some sadness?
Yes, because then I can also tell you some of my sadness with that exact song.
Fantastic. One, y'all should go check out these musics. It's very good. But episode 3, I think.
Oh, popping off real early.
Episode 1 to 3, right? So this is Hector Bartholomew when he's like in his late 70s. Came back to this town. He was in a coma for 30 years.
Oh, dear.
And got a message that was like, hey, come back to this town, signed by someone named Gretchen. And he didn't know who that was. He couldn't quite remember this place. He like kind of felt like it was familiar, but not quite. And met these random people, the rest of the party. While he was there, there were zombies that showed up, and he went to this place with these people that was like a smokehouse / like bed and breakfast kind of place that was owned by Gretchen. Now, I keep saying Gretchen because if you recall, it's the same Gretchen from 30 years ago, right? Keep that in your mind. The party had met Gretchen before, not Hector. The party had met him before Hector got there. And she had, while all of this stuff was happening, you know, with Hector coming into town and everybody doing their own things, had gotten injured by these zombies things and like had fought them off and everything like that. And had, while Hector was above ground talking to people in the party, some of the other party members went down into the basement and found her there and had conversations with her. And then she passed away before Hector went downstairs. And as he went downstairs, he's seeing this person and is like, I kind of remember you and I don't know why. All this stuff. And there's so many compounding things. He met her right after she died and then didn't know who she was. And then all of a sudden, like literally like 20 episodes later, we have our flashback arc where we establish all of these like really deep connections with like her and other people in his past party. And and he remembers everything all at once. And he goes back. There's this heartbreaking scene that he has at her grave. After all of that, that is just that song, that specific phrase, I had all and then most of you, some and then none of it, now none of you, is like the only thing that plays in my mind during that one scene, because like he was so close to reconnecting to her, because according to her, he just disappeared. He just disappeared. And like, you can watch the whole series if you want to. You can figure out what happened to him and everything like that. But he just disappeared and like left her and everybody else alone. Anyway, Hector's sad. I make sad characters, everyone. If you want a sad character in your campaign, hit me up.
Same, I also make very sad characters.
Now tell me why this song is important to you.
So this song is on my character Lena's playlist from our quest campaign that we played for multiple years, and she's a spy, and she was like a vigilante, like Robin Hood type thief, and she had a partner who was like a partner in literal crime, not a romantic partner, like they're partners, well, and then they ended up like falling in love and stuff, and like just as she was like starting to realize that she's like falling in love with him, they go in on like a job. This is all like backstory stuff. Like they go in on a job and they get caught in a wizard booby trap, and he gets transported to like this, like we call it the Shadow Realm because we're big dorks, but it has like an actual name. It's basically just like another demi plane, but like, so he can't fully exist in this reality. And just like a little back, we really just wrote it in because like that player was gonna be like popping in and out during like that first season. So we like wrote it in as like, oh, like his character is fading in and out of this reality, which would be like, oh, it's easy because it's like, oh, if he's not gonna be there next week, he just disappears. But when he would move between the realms, like he would be here physically with her, and like when he was here, she's like, you know, like I love him and all this. But when he would disappear, he would like fade in. He would just like fade into stars. So I always think of that. It's like, yeah, mostly the like all and then most of you. And then it's like some and then none of you. It's just like as he's like fading out. So like her character arc in like the whole first and like second season is like, I need to figure out how to like get him back. And there's really emotional shit. And my friend who played her partner was just one of the most incredible scene partners ever in the world. And they ended up getting married. And I cried a lot when they got married. I cried more at their wedding than I did at my own wedding. But oh my god, it was, yeah. So that one hits real hard too. It was like,
well, because I think like in thinking more about like the chorus, the second line is, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, haunted by the ghost of you. And like that,
take me back to the night we met.
And I'm just like, anytime I hear that song, I'm just like,
it's
Hector,
so
why?
Oh.
Hector, why? Why are you so sad, Hector? Stop it.
Music is so good.
Music is so good, but that's just like one example. A lot of like my Blades in the Dark characters have a lot of very similar sounds. Like Adam Jensen is everywhere in like most of my like edgier characters.
I just so much Hosier. I'm like clicking through playlists. I'm like,
Hosier is just everywhere.
Hosier. I swear fealty to the Fae King. Like incredible.
But all of this,
Florence and churches are everywhere in my playlists.
Yes. All of this to say, everyone, we care about characters, we care about emotional damage, all of that stuff. And Meghan writes fantastic games about all of those things. You can do that Solo games by yourself. You can do this one doesn't require another person. You can just do it to yourself if you want to.
Yeah, there's a few. So I really love writing solo games, turns out. So I have a couple solo games.
Silent Garden is a solo game.
I would say if you want to about Medusa, if you want to feel things about Greek mythology, I've got 2 different solo games to make you feel things about Greek mythology.
Yep, The Long Way Down is one of those ones. You just need a block of a tower of blocks and whoo. Anyway, if y'all want to feel something, go play Meghan's games. Find some friends or people that you want to feel things with.
Yes.
Even if that's just yourself.
And then please tell me about them.
Tell Meghan about them.
Because every time somebody tells me that they've played one of my games, my heart grows 3 sizes like the Grinch at the end of How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
And we want to make Meghan's heart explode.
And really we want to, please make my heart explode.
Meghan, I love talking to you. We would talk for 1,000 years if we had the time. But I'm gonna make a stop. Together. We're gonna play more games together. Look out for more games for with me and Meghan in them. Who knows? By the time this airs, maybe we'll be in one. We'll see. If we are, you'll be able to see it somewhere on.
I'm pretty sure I said sometime at the beginning of this year, I was like, I am manifesting playing more games with Maria this year. Yes. Like, this is what's happening. I need it to happen.
It's gonna happen. We're gonna do it. But Meghan, thank you from the bottom of my heart and my soles of my feet and everything that is everywhere inside of me.
Thank you for your heart.
The feet of my soul. Thank you for being you and being creative and wonderful and being here and talking and all of those things. I love you so much. Of course. Because I can't hug you.
I know. Not yet.
Not yet.
Soon.
But once again, please remind people where they can find you. If you're doing anything or have done anything recently that you want to shout about, I would suggest telling them about a recent publication that you just released at the time of this recording.
Well, hello once again. I am Meghan. Thank you so much for hanging out, and thank you, Maria, for having me. This was so beautiful, wonderful. You can find me on the Blue Hell site at MeghanlynnFTW, where I shout about a lot of things, mostly about Red Bull. And I'm trying to think of like, what else do I shit post and I talk about how much I need Red Bull. Because that's where we're at. You could also follow my game design Twitter, which I neglect and need to be better about updating, at Siren Song Games. You can find all of my games on MeghanlynnFTW.itch.io. Let me pull this guy out. Oh, I gotta move.
Show me a guy. What is
Show me
that?
The baby. So this is my game One Particular Harbor. Which is a Firebrand, a hack of the game Fire Mobile Frame Zero Firebrands by Vincent and McGay Baker, who are incredible game designers. This is a hack of that game about pirates and mermaids and sailors making entanglements and fighting and flirting and smooching and stabbing each other on a chain of islands in the middle of the ocean. It's very dramatic and wonderful. And I have physical copies of it. And as of this recording, you'll be able to pick these up on Indie Press Revolution. Which is new as of like a week ago at the time of recording. It's not completely set up yet, but by the time this recording airs, you will be able to find them at Indie Press Revolution. And you can buy copies for yourself. It's so beautiful. My wonderful friend Anna Landon did the cover art that is gorgeous. Look at this. Oh my goodness. And
really?
In the amazing Ray of Sword Queen Games did the layout. One of my favorite game designers ever did the layout. So this is just, it's a beautiful game. They made my words look very pretty. So pick it up and play it and be pirates and have fun, dramatic antics. And I think that's it. I'm not in any regular streams. Maybe by the time this comes out, I will be. Who knows? We'll see.
If you are, I'm sure there'll be links everywhere.
Yes. But otherwise, follow me on Twitter, and I shout a lot about the stuff I'm doing when imposter syndrome doesn't keep me from doing self-promo tweets. But yeah, This has been absolutely wonderful. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. Let's play more games.
More games. You play more games also. You out there. Play more games.
Play more games. Play dialect. Play Starcrossed.
Yes. Play games. Do it.
Play games.
Play games, be safe. As always, friends, communicate, talk, words with your face. And as always, friends, you can find me at happycapster everywhere that you can find that combination of letters and words together. I could talk to you about characters forever, but know that we have a lot to say. We could never, ever, ever hope to say it all in one sitting. So if you want to see Meghan and I together in games, just hire us to play more games. Just have
us come play games.
We have chemistry already.
We'll do it.
We can be mad at each other too. Like it's happened.
we did that too. First one, then the other. So
got mad, then got less mad.
Got mad, got a little sad, and then
we ran off into space together. So, I mean, do that. But as always, friends, I hope that wherever you are today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever it is that you're watching this, that your cup is filled with something warm and delicious, and that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.